Hi Chris, it's Mum. Merry Christmas, Poppet. Another year has passed. I wanted to start this one by saying something I haven't said yet, which is thank you. Thank you for taking the time to remember me. After all these years. I can't believe you're going to be 30 soon. I wish I could be there to see how you've grown, to see what kind of man you've become. I know I would be so proud of you. So this is it, my last tape. I wish I could keep talking to you every Christmas, but it's time to say goodbye. Just remember how much I love you. Never forget that, okay? I will always be your mum. Before I go, let me tell you a story about the happiest day of my life. The day you were born.
I've never met someone who deserves the day the way that you do. Stephanie, it's time to get ready and the spotlight's shining down upon you. Stephanie, so be fast, hold on. I'm on my way, you hear it comes. And I'm delivering a wish to you, so get ready. From every peak and valley, they're telling you to get ready, 'cause here it comes. It's on the way. Happy birthday to one in a million.
You better watch out, you better not cry, better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Gee whiz, Steve, you remembered my birthday. Thank you.
And Smokey Robinson did too.
I feel very honored. That was beautiful. I was like, wait a minute, he's saying Stephanie. How did you find that one?
I pulled some strings only for you, my dear. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, I know it's tomorrow, but I've been I have the wrapping paper. I have the bow. I have the card. I have the gift bag. I just have to get the gift now. I just need a gift.
You're the gift, Steve. Just wrap that around yourself. You're good. You're good.
Okay, so I don't have to. I can mail it. You get it for Christmas, so you get Christmas gift could be your birthday gift too.
No Christmas/birthday gifts. No.
Okay. Well, it's really a special day, so I hope Dave is doing everything nice for you around the house.
Well, he was nice enough that he hung out with the kids while I went for a very nice long massage. So if I look extra relaxed today, it's because I spent time out of the house away from my beautiful children and family and got a massage. So it was a wonderful day.
Wow, not bad for turning 26.
Yeah.
Wow.
44. I'm going to be 44. I'm kind of excited. 44 is
44
nice.
is a good number. Very good number.
It's cool. It works.
It's very cool. Very cool. Now, since it's your birthday, I have some people want to know a little bit more about you. So I came up with 20 rapid fire questions. You ready?
I'm ready. Go for it.
You ready? You got your seatbelt on? Okay. All right, ready? Android or Apple?
Apple.
Shower or bath?
Shower.
Summer or winter?
Summer. Wait. In Texas, maybe not the summer.
Okay. Wow.
In New York, the summer. Texas, the fall. Any other time but the summer.
Okay. Ketchup or mayonnaise?
Ooh, it depends on what it is. If it's like a sandwich, a deli sandwich, it's got to be mayonnaise.
Okay. All right. Cat or dog?
Both? I'll do both.
Okay.
It's my birthday. I can do both.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Book or TV?
Lately, it's been TV. Completely honest.
Okay,
It used to be book, not anymore. It's more like, can I just lay there on the couch? Is that an age thing, Steve?
Well, people want to know all about you. I mean, it's been 2 years since we've been doing this thing, and then okay, go out or stay home.
Out.
Okay, good company or good food?
Oh, doesn't that kind of go together? Doesn't good food go with good company?
I guess, but okay, all right. Well, okay, non-committal to either one. Okay, I got
Good
it.
company is always it's my favorite thing is being around good company, but like having some good snacks while you're in good company, I mean, even better.
All right. Texas or New York?
My New York friends would want me to say New York for sure. My Texas friends would definitely want me to say Texas. I can't really say. I'll tell you in about a year when I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about Texas.
Okay, we're almost halfway through. Steve Harvey or Steve Vaccaro?
Steve Vaccaro, obviously.
Okay, all right, just double checking. Okay, you ready? Just fill in the blank. Worst household chore?
Oh my God, I just posted this. I think folding laundry.
Not doing the one, folding it.
Folding it. No, because you just throw it in there and that's easy. It's the getting it out and folding it. It stays in a basket for, I don't know if anybody else watching, like 3-4 days folded. It's not folded. It's just in a pile in the basket until it gets folded.
In my house, I bring the wash down. I wash it, but the folding and bringing it back up is, that's painful. I agree with you. Have you ever broken a bone?
No.
No, okay. Have you ever locked the keys in the car?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't have keys now. You have keys to your car now anymore.
Well, my son did actually just recently, like 2 weeks ago, we went to the park and I left the keys in the car because it's like our community park. And I left the keys in the car and he ran off ahead of us when we were done at the park, jumped in the car. Or no, he didn't jump in. He was playing in the car. Then he got out, slammed the door, and I couldn't get in. I'm like, how is it that the keys are in the car and I can't get in? It was locked and I couldn't undo it. There was nothing I could do. So I ended up, luckily I was able to walk home and then we were able to walk back and get the keys to open it up. But we were locked out of the car with the keys in the car.
Wow. That's why I asked this question.
Yeah,
People
there you
want to know. Have you ever eaten peanut butter from the jar?
Heck yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Would you go back 20 years in time or go forward 20 years in the future?
I'd go back 20 years in time as long as I have the knowledge I have now.
Okay, good answer. One thing I cannot live without.
My family.
Very nice. And one thing on your bucket list you want to achieve.
I want to be able to travel cross country in a motorhome and not have a place for a little while, just be out free. It doesn't even have to be in the States. It could be like in any country, just be out on the open road.
Wow. And you're an open book. And speaking about open books, you have a book that you want people to open, right?
I would love for people that are in toxic relationships to open my book, Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. I share my story about overcoming the cycle of unhealthy relationships that I was stuck in for 17 plus years. And the idea of it is really to inspire others to realize that they do not have to stay stuck too. Remember, there is a book and a workbook. So to me, in my opinion, the book inspires and motivates, and the workbook is actually the tools you need to be able to take the steps to move forward.
That's right. It's a great book. And how can people get that book?
Amazon is the best way. I've had a few clients try to get it in other sources, but unless they're getting it used from other sources, Amazon is the place to get the book.
Okay. And this is the Chapters Community Support Services, Chapters Network. And we do we have so many shows, 15 shows. Right after this, we have a show called I'm Proud of You, Sis. And tonight we have another one, Flashback Sports with Baby Boomers, Gil and Dave. That's going to be on tonight. So the first one at 6 to 6:30, right after our show, and Flashback Sports from 9 to 10 o'clock tonight. And they're going to have sports reporter, columnist, and he's a great guy, Ed Randall. He's a Long Island guy, so that's going to be a great show. Stick around. So this is going to be a little age quiz here. So we're going to put something on the screen and tell me if you ever did something like this. Okay, Carmine, put the first one up. Do you know what's in that box?
Is that a sewing machine?
No, it's a record player.
Oh, it looks like the way that the top is.
It's a
If it was
record-
sideways, I would have guessed record player, but not
Yeah.
that way.
Okay, well you're younger than me, so I'll give
I
you
had
that.
a record player. I had a record player for a long time.
Okay, all right.
My first ever, when I was 7 years old, my first record was Thriller. And I was so excited to get Thriller. So Michael Jackson, I couldn't wait to get Michael Jackson Thriller on record.
Wow. Okay. All right. We're gonna do one more. Okay. Do you remember when the TV went out at midnight and the fuzz went on the screen?
I don't think so.
Wow. Okay. So that's a conversation that I have to have with myself, I guess. I don't know.
I've heard of that before. Like, I know that happened. And I remember being really little and my parents said for my birthday, I was allowed to stay up as late as I wanted, but they were going to bed. So I think I made it till like 10. So maybe I remember it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see. But anyway, let's get serious because we have a great show here tonight. But first, we have our thoughts and prayers go for all the people in Kentucky and the surrounding areas. That tornado, I mean, right there it says over 70, but it's close to 100 people that perished in these tornadoes that hit and rocked that community. It's so very sad, and it's when people come and mobilize, and it's a tragic.
It was so unbelievable when I woke up that morning that happened. I was like, I don't remember hearing anything about any concern about tornadoes anywhere, and for it to devastate not just one state, but it's 4, right? 4 different states that actually got hit by the tornado.
Yes. The brunt of it was Kentucky, though. You know, they
Yeah.
really, the candle factory and the people in there, from kids to older people, and there's a lot of people still missing. So it's very, very, very.
There's
tragic.
a horrible story that I was watching this morning about a poor mother who was holding her not newborn, but like I think he was 18 months old, and then the other arm was holding her 3-year-old, and both arms clutching them during the tornado, and the 3-year-old passed away in her arms. And as you know, we're going to be talking about trauma today, but I can't imagine a more traumatic event, trying to protect your 2 children and hold them and keep them safe, and not being able to do that as a mom. I can't even imagine the things she's going through.
It's heartbreaking and it's stretching. And you sit back here from different parts of the country and you think, how can this happen? And what can you do to help? Mm-hmm. And I guess there's a lot of financial support that's going around there. And you got to be careful where you send your money. There's a lot of scam artists out there, but they really need it out in Kentucky. And I think some of the proceeds that we do in our annual holiday event that's coming up this Saturday, we are going to donate it to the cause out in Kentucky. And that's our holiday Chapters Community Support Services holiday benefit this Saturday at Mia's in Valley Stream. We have the Chapters Rap All-Star Band, Bob D'Amato, Chris Milo just signed on board, Dave Revels is going to sing, Ashley Blum, Tyler Gianchetta. And it's all going to support our nonprofit organization, but also we're going to honor Mission Helping Hands, which does great work here in the Long Island community and abroad. So we're looking forward to that. On Friday night, there's a concert in the Riverhead Theater, the Suffolk Theater that you used to know, probably Riverhead. Mm-hmm. The Lords of 52nd Street and Chris Milo will be performing there. And Richie Kanata has been a friend of the show. He's been in Bat Boy, and Chris Milo has appeared on our shows in our network recently. So that's going to be a great show. But before we get to our guest, Kelly Kramer, who's a clinician and social worker in the Virginia area, we have a little video I want to show this. It's important because we're talking about teenagers and young people. You taught in the New York City school system. I've been in the schools. And sometimes it just requires a conversation of a young person and a mentor or a father or uncle or a friend just to kind of share their thoughts and their experience in life. Check this out.
Not caring what people think will be the best choice you ever make. Bro, this whole I want to be popular stuff is basic. I know you see the cool kids, they dress fresh, they get the attention, they turning up, they going to parties, and you want to be like them, right? Keep it 100. Sometimes you feel like you're not enough, right? Well, I'm telling you, you are enough. You were born original. Don't you dare die a copy. You were born to stand out. Stop trying to fit in. Popularity does not mean quality, but I get it. See, in this crazy world we live in, it has no chill. Some people are loved for being fake, and others are judged for being real. But you have to be real. Never stop. Because it's better to be hated for who you are than liked for who you're not. So what if you don't fit in? So what if you're not perfect? Do you know how diamond experts can tell if a diamond is real or worthless? See, the fake diamonds are perfect. The real ones have flaws. And just like that, fake people appear perfect. Real people make mistakes and have flaws. And let me tell you this, the coolest people don't care about being cool. The people who care about being cool are the saddest. When they go home, they're not happy with who they are. Because see, popularity is when other people like you. True happiness is when you like you. See, me and you, bro, we got the same story. See, I was that shy kid. There was nothing I wanted more than for people to like me, but it didn't happen. And I would always think like why? Why can't more people like me? And then it dawned on me. See, sometimes the universe has to protect you from what you think you want. See, me not being popular gave me time to work on me. And when I worked on me, everything changed. When I had the courage to be me, people started coming to me. See, I found out that I was enough already. And just like that, you are enough already. See, nobody has lived your life. Nobody can tell your story. So pick your head up. Don't dim your light so that others don't have to squint. Don't hide your shine underneath the shade. Don't trade your dignity for popularity. You may not be popular now, but you will be great one day. Right now, you may not be well known, but one day you will be worth knowing. So keep focusing on you. And don't worry about what these people think, mainly because most people don't think. Most people will judge you based on an opinion from somebody else. Man, treat these people like coupons and cut them out of your life. Leave them on red. It's time to focus on you. You may not see it now, but in 5 years, none of this popularity stuff is gonna matter. See, popularity ends on yearbook day. What you build and who you become will last the rest of your life. So don't let them write your story. You keep caring about what people think, you will forever be their slave. And you're stronger than that. So never forget who you are, because it is who you are that makes you great. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video.
Oh, Prince Iya is, so anyone, like you were saying, I used to teach high school, and I used to show him one of his video clips, and I would show kind of throughout the whole semester some of his videos, because they're just so inspirational. They make me tear up almost every time, because he just knows how to hit home and get those pieces of insecurities, especially for teenagers that need that extra support. So thank you. I love Prince Iya. He's amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's so much challenging situations out there in all parts of the country. And we have Kelly Kramer is going to join the show. Kelly is a licensed professional counselor in the Commonwealth of Virginia, has a Master of Science in Rehabilitation Counseling from Virginia Commonwealth University. She's a certified clinical trauma specialist, having completed additional education in assessment and treatment of trauma. Ms. Kramer works as a crisis clinician with the public mental health agency and assists clients who are active in crisis. Kelly is actively engaged in suicide prevention efforts in the community and has presented in numerous venues, including schools and community organizations. She participates in crisis intervention, teen training for law enforcement to instruct them in methods of safely intervening in emergencies involving mental health issues. She is also nationally certified EMT and volunteers 72 hours, get this, 72 hours per month with her local rescue squad. Kelly is a mother of an adult son and daughter, both of whom have autism. Ms. Kramer, welcome to our show, Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail, and you know who I am.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you. I mean, I worked for 13 years at a crisis hotline, Suffolk County, or Responsive Suffolk County. And I applaud all the great work that you're doing for the community.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love it. I feel like that I'm, blessed to have found my path in life and in this field. And it just does take a special person to handle crises all the time. But, I feel like I was really called to this field.
And Kelly, we have a mutual friend, Tim Sutton, who has a show on our network, A New Perspective. Spend a few moments talking about Tim Sutton and his work.
We sure do. There's the picture of our holiday Silent Santa event. And I have, you see me standing there in the red dress and the black cape, and then right at my feet is my daughter, Lauren. And so we had a really great time. She said she was so excited. We're going to be doing it next year as well. We're going to hopefully make this an annual event. And it's really needed in our area to have a place for kids to go that's not that stimulating to see, because we all know individuals with autism can often have difficulty with highly stimulating environments. So yeah, I think that we're going to be doing it every year. And I just, in fact, taught yesterday. Those pictures I sent you of me teaching at crisis intervention training was yesterday.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
And Tim actually taught today. So he taught autism and Alzheimer's awareness to the team. And so I often go in when we have crisis intervention training and talk about my personal experience with having a child who was actually involuntarily hospitalized for mental health reasons. And she's thriving today. She's 25. Well, you met her. Steve,
yeah.
And she's a bubbly, 25-year-old young woman. And so I just like to just report on, the after effects, because law enforcement usually sees individuals on their worst day, but they don't get to see what happens afterwards and the person doing well. So I did want to, let them know. I brought pictures with me. I said, she's doing well. She had a bad day that day. But she's thriving now. So, so it was important to get that family story out to them.
That's wonderful. And we got to know each other the last couple of events in Virginia. And this past event, you said that you watch our show all the time and you were kind of intrigued by some of the guests that we have. And you made some comments over the last couple of weeks. And I thought, okay, well, let's get Kelly on the show and to talk about your amazing work. And you are doing great things in your community. And talk about how you got to that point, why you felt back in the day, why you felt the need to do the work that you're doing today.
Well, ironically, I went to graduate school. I graduated 4 days after my son was born. My second child was born, believe it or not. So having my daughter, they're like 3 years apart, and having my daughter inspired me to go back to college, and I really wanted to do something in the helping profession. I went to our local university, majored in rehabilitation counseling, which is a very unique take on counseling, and that we often, it's very disability friendly. So we often have people who have lived experience become counselors in our field. But it's also how to achieve the highest level of functioning possible given a person's disability, which is such a strengths-based view on how to help people get to that point where they can live independently or have a job, or a lot of people in rehab counseling go into vocational counseling. So ironically, I got in that before I even knew my kids had autism. I was graduated when my son was just born. My daughter had not been diagnosed yet, and then I started in that area. I ended up working about 10 years in a program eventually for people who have long-term serious mental illness living in the community. It was called a program of assertive community treatment. You probably have heard of something like that, but we actually assist people living independently in the community to become, the most functional, given a diagnosis of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. So we just try to focus on strengths and what we can, where we can start to help build that person up so they can stay out of the hospital, have a functional life, have a job, and have an apartment, and stay on medications and things like that. So that's the kind of work I did. And then about July will be 5 years. I transferred over to our local crisis program, and I feel like I'm going to be retiring there. So
Okay.
which is sooner than we think. I do remember the national anthem at the end of the television broadcast.
Okay, you remember that. Okay.
And
See, Stephanie?
it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Remember that one?
That I remember. Yes, that was like a big joke too. My parents would be like, "I know they're right here. I see them. They're here."
So you used to actually say that on the news.
That's right. But our country and more important, the Michigan community lost 4 young people to that mass killing, and we've been talking about on the show, and it's so sad, and we'll continue to pray for that community and the families of Hannah and Justin and Tate and Madison. But when a child is given a gun, and perhaps some of the signs of the school weren't picked up on, and you have parents that are kind of feeding into this, that's a deadly cocktail, wouldn't you say, Kelly? And I'm sure it rocked us just like it rocked you when you heard that.
Absolutely. And it kind of took things up to another level. The fact that the parents, did supply the weapon, but also kind of minimized this kid's, problems. And that's what we often face when we work with kids who are in crisis is, we have to get buy-in by the parents and say, look, we really do think that your child is having a serious problem here. So it's helpful to get the parents on board when a child is having difficulty. I did do some facts and figures. I went to the National Institutes of Health and did get some data about school shooters. And actually, ironically, the school shooters typically will have a history of trauma and also have a history of suicide or suicidal ideation. But it gets, instead of turning the gun on themselves, they project it outwards towards peers. They will oftentimes broadcast their plans on social media or have notes. And like in this individual's case, he was drawing in class and searching for ammo in class. And so those red flags really have to be taken seriously. And I know we sometimes people think that we're overreacting. People are overreacting but it's better to overreact and have it be nothing than to have it be, ignore something and have it fester and becomes a serious situation. So I thought that was interesting that, oftentimes they're male individuals who do these shootings, oftentimes are either ostracized, bullied, or isolative. And they plan, they often leak their plans. They're not very savvy about secrets and keeping everything quiet. And oftentimes they will have access to guns. I mean, we all know guns can do a huge amount of damage in a short amount of time. That's not to say, if the gun was gone, the person wouldn't try something else like a knife or another weapon, but the most damage can be done by a gun in the shortest amount of time. So I just think the key is cluing into those red flags and doing something about it. And we do see kids a lot of times who will call law enforcement because they get a text from a friend about suicide or wanting to hurt someone else. And so I think that as a message gets out there to, you see something, say something, that's a huge important thing.
Now, I just had, it's a little bit different, but I had just before this, before we jumped on today, I had a session with someone. She happened to be in England, but just to show that there's kind of some similar things. Her husband was verbally abusive and she decided to get a divorce. She has 3 kids. Her oldest son, 15, was definitely having a little bit of issues before the divorce happened, but ever since the divorce happened, I think about 6 months ago, he has been so aggressive that he's actually put his hands on his mother. He's leaving bruises. He's making her fearful for her. And then she's got 2 younger children. She's fearful for their safety. And, you know, as listening to this and to you know, she's like, I wouldn't have accepted this from my husband. He was verbally abusive, but I wouldn't have accepted the physical abuse. But here I am accepting it from my child. And so we had to go through and talk about, like, okay, a 15-year-old boy turned into a 20-year-old man, 30, 40, 50. You know, who knows what could happen in between there. And of course, if you're enabling this to happen, because she's like, well, I want to protect my child. I don't want to get the police involved. I said, but there are consequences to behavior. And so, you know, if, and again, he doesn't have access to guns, but what if he did? She's like, he's good most of the time until he loses his temper. Well, then who's he going to lose his temper on next? So I think that, you know, some of these things, and I know that's happening here, the same exact things are happening here. Like, you're right, maybe they don't have a gun. But what are they going to do? Are they going to become that next abusive partner? Are they going to be, you know, hurting people in other ways in the future? So we've got to really make sure as parents to not enable this behavior and get them the right help, which I'm sure could bring a whole other conversation about mental health in this country and how that's totally lacking.
Yes, and we oftentimes get calls from the school, and the school is the one who, you know, the schools know a lot. School or students will come to the counseling office and say, hey, I'm worried about my you know, fellow friend or whatever. And so oftentimes we'll get referrals from the schools, but then when we loop back around to the family, they're like, oh yeah, this has been going on for a year. And it's really scary to think that a child's been suffering in such a way that, you know, nothing's being done to help them, because it must be torturous to have suicidal or homicidal thoughts all the time and then not have the support there to address it. The other thing is too, is like, we don't want to, like I said, we don't want to wait for a crisis to happen. We want to forestall crises and be proactive and get supports in place. But, you know, oftentimes parents are stressed themselves, or parents are dealing with their own trauma, which leads me to, you know, the next thing is trauma. Trauma is different for everyone, and we all know people handle things differently when they're faced with, you know, adversity. But for children, people don't even think a divorce is trauma to a child.
Right.
Half of that support system is gone all of a sudden. A family move is a trauma to a child. They just lose all their friends. They lose their teacher. They lose, you know, everything stable. So a lot of times military families who move a lot, you know, the kids will have problems with, you know, coping. And so the things that we don't think are traumas can be traumas to a child, and then they don't get addressed, and then it usually will be manifest as, you know, behavioral problems or ADD, ADHD, and then it continues on. The child gets labeled as a troublemaker, so they don't get, you know, the treatment. Treatment is very important. Trauma-informed care. Huge.
So what would you recommend? Because, you know, let's say that someone has a child and they're noticing these behaviors, and maybe they don't have health insurance, or, you know, or they're physically concerned for their safety. What would be some of the best things you could tell a parent to do?
Well, we're in 3 different states, and we all know it's state by state.
Yes.
But here in Virginia, I mean, we do have community services boards. They are the, you know, the local mental health agency. We have a program called Same Day Access, where we have no more than 7 business days where someone, you know, from intake to their first appointment. And we also have children's crisis intervention services, in place that we can access. So I think it's so important to not have money stand in the way of that. And oftentimes I know I know New York, Steve, has really good public mental health services. I don't know about Texas, but things are changing. I think we've had some initiatives in the General Assembly to put together some real changes to address mental health and childhood mental health. So we have crisis stabilization places, the kids can go to get stabilized. We have in-home crisis stabilization services. So we have even crisis stabilization services for people with developmental disabilities, where they have this worker comes out and opens a case, and they do like in-home crisis stabilization. So it's getting services, but also destigmatizing.
That's
That's always a focus of in our work, of how do we get rid of that stigma of asking for help, and that's a tough one.
Right. Casey, just tuning in. This is Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb. I'm Steve Vaccaro. That's Stephanie McPhail. And we have our special guest here today, Kelly Kramer from Virginia. And Kelly, this pandemic has really rocked us all in so many different ways. But in the specific work, the clinical work that you do, how have you managed to navigate through it and to empower and help others during this unique time in our history?
Well, our agencies never stopped. We're essential personnel. We never missed a beat. We transitioned from in-person services to we were doing audio only through telephone. We did Zoom for our clients who have computer capability. Most of our clients have at least have a phone, so we were able to keep up with clients, and we were doing intakes the whole time remotely. So, and then as things eased up a bit, we even set up a clean room where individuals could come in with a mask and sit in a clean space and do a Zoom appointment with a clinician who was in their office. So we weren't doing face-to-face quite yet, but we kind of stepped back, it slowly transitioned back into doing face-to-face services. So we never closed. Our never closed, and we were doing therapy services, we were doing crisis intervention the whole time. So
because during the pandemic last summer, the first summer in 2020, the emergency room visits increased significantly, 22.3%, and it kind of carried over to February and March of this year, 21, 50% of all mental health issues. What do you attribute to that?
I think people are struggling. I think families are really, and parents are unable to model like good, healthy mental health to their children because they're stressed out as well. Lack of outlets to blow off steam. Like going bowling or something physical that we all know. Exercise is really key to good mental health. And stress reduction, but being stuck in the house, getting cabin fever. Having kids, especially, I can imagine having kids with special needs, and typical children all together under one roof, and having to provide education for them. And I think parents really kind of ended up panicking a lot too. It's like, oh, I got to be a teacher too, right. And find out how to work my own job. So I think families are really struggling. I think kids are really, that safety net kind of disappeared because for a lot of kids, school is their safety net. School is where they get the most supports. School is sometimes where they get meals. They don't get that at home. So to just leave that and drop that from a child's life is detrimental. So I think we're seeing the after effects of COVID, like people hunkered down during the emergency period for a long period of time, and now everything's eased up and people are just kind of losing it. Unfortunately.
Well, I forgot the exact statistic, and if tell me, but the amount of drug and alcohol abuse has like double or tripled.
Yes.
The amount of people overdosing is so much worse.
Yes.
And I think that what this is doing is every single one of us have had some kind of trauma.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be real. So, we've all had some kind of trauma. So now you compound like that trauma where so many people have not yet worked through it. Now you're stuck home. You're with people that you might not get along well with. That now you're also a parent. You're trying to parent your children, and you're not having the ability to work through what's going on in the world. And then you get the political divide, and then you get the tornadoes and earthquakes and the hurricanes and all those. Start throwing all that stuff in. I think it starts hitting at every nerve on people, and it's almost like, what's going to happen next? So everyone's kind of on edge, and it's exacerbating, and it's exacerbated. And then of course, that puts onto the children, because the children are seeing their parents so frustrated, and a lot of those parents were not working really well to begin with, and now you throw all that other stuff in there, and it's too much.
Right. Yes, and it seems like this is the perfect storm now. You've had people who've been abusing substances maybe for a year or two, and maybe have an addiction to alcohol now, and that's the thing they use for anxiety relief. And so a cycle has been created in the brain where the thing that alleviates anxiety is that substance instead of exercise or something healthy. So now we have a twofold problem, and have to, manage an addiction. So yes, you're right. I think there's been a huge increase. Alcohol and other drugs also lower inhibitions, and so we see people acting out in a way that may not, without a substance, they would be able to cope a little bit better and not, go on the path of suicide or things like that. So, addiction services is a huge need right now. I'm proud of our agency because we never really, I know in the private sector, some people are waiting 3-6 months to see a psychiatrist and have been off medications and gone withdrawal from medications. And you and I know both, that some medications you can't go cold turkey off of. You have terrible withdrawal symptoms. I mean, just benzodiazepines, antidepressants. People have stopped these cold turkey, and then they're like in crisis. And I'm like, you're in withdrawal. And let's address that. Let's get you to a hospital so you can get back on your medication. And then they end up doing better once the medications get restarted. But it's a huge perfect storm right now, and we're just seeing an uptick in that. We're seeing a decrease in nurses. So a lot of emergency rooms don't have the capacity because they don't have the staff. Are in our area, because I'm an EMT, of course. Our local hospitals in our region are on what we call code black, which is we have to call one regional hospital who does all the placement, and that's until the end of July and end of January. So we can't even take individuals to their hospital of choice for medical problems. They have to wait. We have to screen it for make sure there's a spot at the hospital we can take them to. So we're seeing a decreased capacity in psychiatric beds, decreased capacity in medical beds. Nurses are leaving because they're stressed out because of the COVID, having to be nurses and practitioners through that. So yes, it's a critical time right now.
Right. There's two areas I want to talk to you about, because I'm always supportive of volunteerism and young
Me
people.
too.
Yes, it's very important, because sometimes it's not all about the job or the money that you make. It's about volunteerism. And you, for 72 hours approximately each month, you volunteer at a local rescue squad. Talk about that work and why it's important for you and others to volunteer.
Well, I must say that working in the hospital as a crisis clinician, because we often go in the hospital, and help people on their worst day when they're having a mental health crisis. So I got very tight with a lot of the medical personnel, local emergency department, and just talking to individuals and being there in the ED environment all the time. I was really inspired to become an EMT. And so I had to actually interview for a slot in the first class back from COVID in Richmond for our local region. And so I was one of 12 individuals who were, they had like, I don't know, 40, 50 applications. So I was very lucky to get in. And it was 5 grueling months of training. And so I'm now a national registered EMT, and glad to volunteer. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of hours. It's 12 hours a week. So it's like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then a 24-hour shift about every month or every 6 weeks. So that up 72 hours. But
so Stephanie, see, there's people doing more things than I am.
I know. Seriously, I keep asking Steve when he sleeps, but obviously I've got nothing to say now with your schedule.
I know, but it's such a good thing.
And then I volunteer with Tim's initiatives, and we're planning to do more autism related stuff in the area. So yeah, it's just, I think volunteerism for youth is so important. Yes. Whether it's scouting or sports or some activity. Most of the children I see that are in crisis, I ask them, what do you do? What do you do after school? Do you do sports? No. Do you have any friends? No. What do you do for fun? I really don't do anything. Or it's video games or something that's isolative. And so having human contact and having some activity you love, whether it's, coloring mandalas or or playing team sports or being involved in choir or church or scouting or something, is so important for children to get, and humankind in general. Volunteerism is important. Right. It gets us out of our own heads and gets us helping other people. And, when you're helping others, your own problems don't seem quite as dire. So definitely volunteerism is really important to me.
And I'm a product of the foster care system. When I was at my last foster home when I was in high school, I was 17. I kind of got emancipated to move out and to live my own. But what saved me at that time was my volunteer work that I did. I coached Little League Baseball when I was 17, and I got involved with youth sports. And I wrote for the town paper, and I didn't get paid for it. I did have a part-time job, but it was those connections and that work that really took me away from everything else. I was able to create my own world and turn a negative into a positive. I think young people need to do things, no matter what it is, to get out and do things. And I think that is something we need to really get back to the basics of, and it's so very important. The second question I have for you, you have 2 children on the spectrum, and in New York, and I guess Stephanie's finding out about Texas now too, but sometimes when high school ends, the services end as well. Did you find that in Virginia for your children, and how is children with autism making that transition from schooling to adulthood?
Right. So, I always impress upon it. And if I could write a book, the book would be entitled Independence Starts in Kindergarten, because it really does. When you have a kid with a disability, you have to constantly think of the future. And we as parents are not going to be around forever, obviously, biologically. That's not going to happen. And so we have to start thinking early on in their age of how are we going to have this person as independent as possible. How can we fight to get the services in place for them? I'm very lucky, and I was very vocal when the kids were very young, that I was able to get them Medicaid waiver, which is, I told parents, it's the golden ticket. Even though to get it, you have to get a psychological exam, which I know it can be daunting, and some parents don't want to do that because it involves labeling our child. But without a diagnosis, you can't get that. So it's like catch-22. Without a diagnosis, you can't get services. But to get a diagnosis, you have to label your child with a diagnosis. So, early on, I think my kids both got waiver slots locally at age 6, and it follows them their whole life. I don't know how it is in other states, but this is a funding source that funds just about anything they need, assistive technology, any well, before they lived in group homes, it funded in-home services. Now they're both in group homes, and it funds them to live in group homes. And then there's also vocational component to that. Any, like for individuals who need, use wheelchairs and need home modifications, and, that's covered. But the thing is, there's a limited number of slots available. And, every year our General Assembly says, they're going to open up more, but, the areas with larger populations get the most slots because they have the most need. So it's a constant fight to try to get services for, there are more individuals who need services than there is funding, obviously. So, yeah, they're both living group homes. They both started around age 19, and they live in separate group homes because my daughter's a little bossy to my son, and we could do get together, but he needs his own space.
Yeah.
He's 21 and she's 25. We also had a program at her local high school called through our local, one of the universities here, Virginia Commonwealth University, where I went. They actually had a program with her high school called Project Search, and it was a program where they went to a vocational program for the year after graduation. So it was like a super senior year, and it was housed at our local hospital. And the first half of the class school day was sitting in classroom, working on independent living skills, working on work skills and vocational skills and all of that. The second half of the day, they did their volunteer work in the hospital. And she actually worked in 3 different locations in the hospital. She worked in ambulatory surgery to get help with prep kits and things like that, and sanitation. And she even worked in at the maternity area where she put together the new mom kits. She really loved doing that. They had a whole kit of giveaway things for new mothers, diapers and things like that. And so she was really excited to work in that with the babies. And so that was really a helpful program through our local university and my program, rehabilitation counseling. And then they paired up with the school to get super seniors working. So
Wow.
Yeah, that was a really neat program. It's still going. I still see the little kids in the emergency department every now and then. I said, "You're with Project Search, right?" And they're like, "Thank you."
Well, you definitely make an impact on so many people, and we're almost just about out of time. Stephanie, any final thoughts for Kelly?
No, just, thank you again for all the work that you do, and, being a mother of 2 children with autism and still putting so much time into the community. I mean, you are like Superwoman. I mean, you, to be able to do all these great things. Thank you for all of the work that you do.
Thank you.
And Kelly, if anybody want to reach out to you, contact you, how could they do that?
So I can give you my my work email. It's G Kramer at Hanover Counties, all spelled out, .gov.
Okay.
KG Kramer at HanoverCounty.gov.
Great.
That's my.
Kelly, thank you so very much. And I can't wait for the next event in Virginia. We'll definitely team up again and have a great holiday season and keep up the wonderful work that you're doing, the advocacy efforts that you're doing for so many people. God bless.
Wow. I have to say, I love the fact that she was training police officers about what someone with autism, how they might behave and how it might be their worst day and how they might actually be behaving. And I think this is something we've talked about before, is that I believe that a lot of police officers are undertrained when it comes to domestic violence, when it comes to people with disabilities, when it comes to diversity just in general. And I feel like that's a disservice to everybody. I wish there were more people going in and doing more trainings to help our police officers stay safe themselves and also protect the people that need to be protected instead of being defensive for people that are just, have something else going on for them.
Well, I think in the new year, we should get Tim Sutton on our show. I know he's watching. So thank you, Tim, for supporting everything we do here on the network and the amazing work that you do back in Virginia and abroad. But he's an excellent person to address those very things you just mentioned.
Because I would love to be able to. I've actually, like I said before, my sister's an assistant DA in Colorado, and she'll reach out to me sometimes and say, hey, what's your perspective on this? I want to get into your head to see why this person is saying this or what's going on. I would love to go speak to a local police department and give them my perspective and you know, how the person who's being abused thinks when they're trying to protect their abuser. You know, and I'm sure the same kind of thing. If kids that had autism were able to share, you know, a little bit about what their needs were with other police officers, there'd be a lot of, that would be very helpful for a lot of people.
Right. Well, we're just about out of time. I know you got your birthday on the horizon. You're already celebrating. I could see the look in your eye, and you're ready to go. And you got your spa thing. You got everything going on here today. So really, honestly, we're going to take a couple of weeks off from the show and for the holidays. Enjoy your birthday. Enjoy your holiday with your beautiful family. Thank you for everything that you do and for the network and so many people around the world. So, Stephanie, thank you so very much. I appreciate you in a big way.
Thank you too, Steve. And again, for all the work that you do in the community, we're all very grateful. And Happy New Year, because that'll be the next time I see all of you, is in 2022. And I'm going to say, all of us, quietly, we're going to celebrate 2022 coming in a little quietly. We're not going to go in with too high of expectations. Let's just be quiet and get it in. You know, this is not your best year. Let's watch.
That's right. And mid-January, when we do come back, we're going to do our 100th show together. Can you believe that? 100. And they said they never could do it. And we did it.
We lasted. Who knew?
And we only did one show in person. I don't know how he pulled that one off.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why it works. It's like a long-term relationship.
I think exactly why it worked. That's why this relationship is very healthy. You're in Texas. I'm in New York. And God bless you, Stephanie. Have a great day. We're gonna have the sounds of Christmas, a little blip from Sarah Nimitz and Robbie Robinson. God bless. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Bye, everybody.
I love the sound of Christmas on the radio. Alvin, the Chipmunks, and Nat King Cole, we're singing together the songs we know while we watch the snow. I love the sound of Christmas